The moment my parents stood up and walked out of my wedding ceremony, the entire room went silent. 162 people, not one of them moved. The officiant stopped mid-sentence, my bridesmaids froze, and I stood at the altar, in my grandmother's gold jewelry, watching the two people who were supposed to sit in the front row walk down the center aisle and disappear through the gate. They didn't look back. What they didn't know was that my husband Daniel had spent 3 weeks building a case, and in 4 hours, he was going to show every single person in that room exactly what my parents had done. But let me start from the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from. My name is Sarah. I am 29 years old. Daniel proposed to me in March 2023. No fancy restaurant, no crowd, just our apartment rooftop, city lights below us, and a ring he had saved 8 months to buy. I said yes before he finished the sentence. That night, I called my parents. My father said, and I remember his exact words, "Sarah, we are so proud of you. This wedding will be the best day of your life. We will handle everything. Don't worry about a single rupee." I believed him. 1 week later, my grandmother sat me down in her bedroom. She opened a drawer and pulled out a red velvet box. "This gold set," she said, placing it in my hands, "has been in our family for 47 years. I wore it on my wedding day. Your mother wore it on hers. Now I want you to wear it on yours." My parents stood in the doorway watching. They were smiling. I thought, for once, I am the priority. I should have known better. Daniel and I planned everything ourselves. Grand Valley Resort, outdoor garden ceremony, 180 guests, non-refundable deposit paid from our savings, save the dates sent in January 2024. Everything was locked in. Then, in June 2024, my brother Rahul announced his engagement. 3 days later, my mother called. "Sarah, Rahul and Priya want their engagement party on October 19th. It's the only date that works for her family. They're flying from Canada. Can you move your wedding? Maybe December?" I felt something shift in my chest. "Mom, my wedding is October 18th. We booked 14 months ago. 180 people have saved the dates. Everything is signed." Her voice turned soft, dangerously soft. "Sarah, this is Rahul's moment. A good daughter understands these things." A good daughter. That phrase had followed me my entire life. I said no. The next morning, my father called. His voice was different this time. "You are being selfish. Your brother's happiness matters. Move the date." I kept my voice steady. "We will lose thousands of dollars. The deposit alone." "The money is not the point. Respect is." He hung up. 2 weeks later, in a family meeting, my father looked me in the eye and delivered his final ultimatum. "If you do not move this wedding, we will not attend. We will not give you a single rupee. You want to choose a date over your brother? Then do it alone." Rahul sat beside him, said nothing, just looked at his phone. I looked at Daniel. He squeezed my hand under the table. I looked back at my father. "The date stays." My father stood up. "Then we have nothing more to discuss." 3 weeks before the wedding, Daniel sat me down at our kitchen table, laptop open. "I need you to see something," he said. He turned the screen toward me. A photograph, taken 12 days earlier at Rahul's engagement ceremony. Priya was wearing my grandmother's gold set, my grandmother's necklace around a stranger's neck, the red velvet box open on the table beside her. I couldn't breathe. "Your parents gave it as an engagement gift," Daniel said. "Your cousin Meena was there. Your mother personally placed it around Priya's neck and said, 'This is our gift to you. Welcome to the family.'" Welcome to the family. The words my grandmother meant for me, given to someone else. Daniel opened another document, property records, my parents' house, the family home I grew up in. 6 months ago, your parents transferred full ownership to Rahul solely. Your name was removed from the original draft before signing, April 14th, 2024. 2 months before Rahul's engagement, 4 months before my wedding. They had already decided. The date conflict was never the real issue. Then, in June 2024, Daniel opened one final document, my grandmother's will. He read it aloud. The gold jewelry set is to be passed to my granddaughter Sarah on the occasion of her marriage. It is not to be sold, gifted, or transferred to any other person under any circumstance. He looked at me. That set was legally yours, Sarah. What they did was illegal. The room was very quiet. What do we do? I asked. Daniel slowly closed the laptop. We document everything. And at the reception, in front of everyone, we show them exactly who your parents really are. I thought about my grandmother, her hands placing that red velvet box in mine. Do it, I said. October 18th, 2024. I woke up at 5:47 a.m. No alarm. My body already knew. At 2 p.m., I stood in front of the mirror in my dress, ivory, simple, paid for entirely by myself. Aisha zipped me up slowly, carefully. Then I opened the red velvet box. I placed my grandmother's necklace around my own neck, clasped it myself. Dottie, I hope you can see this. At 3:30 p.m., Uncle Vijay knocked on the door. My father had refused to walk me down the aisle. Uncle Vijay had said yes before I finished asking. He looked at me in my dress, in my grandmother's gold, and said quietly, "Your father is making the biggest mistake of his life." We walked. My parents were in the back row, away from everyone. 2 empty chairs in the front row with their name cards still in place. Everyone saw them. Everyone understood. I kept my eyes on Daniel. He mouthed 2 words, "You're ready." We were halfway through the vows when my father stood up. His voice carried across the entire garden. "Sarah, we are leaving. We will not be part of a wedding that has brought this much shame to our family." My mother stood beside him crying. They walked down the center aisle and out through the gate. Silence. 40 seconds of complete silence. Then I turned to Pastor Raymond. "Please continue." He nodded. Daniel took my hands. At the end of his vows, he went off script. "I promise you that for the rest of our lives, I will never let you shrink yourself for anyone. I will always stand up for you. Always. No matter who was watching." No matter who was watching. Everyone understood exactly what he meant. At 8:18 p.m., the toasts began. Then the DJ said, "And now a special message from the groom." Daniel stood, buttoned his jacket, picked up the microphone. He looked at me. I nodded. "Thank you all for being here, but something happened today that I cannot ignore, and neither should you." He clicked a remote. The projection screen lit up. White text on black. "What Sarah's family doesn't want you to know." Click. Slide 2. My grandmother's wedding photo, 1977. This story starts with a woman named Kamala, Sarah's grandmother, who spent 47 years building a family legacy and trusted the wrong people to protect it. Click. Slide 3. My grandmother's will, highlighted in yellow. Daniel read it aloud. Every word. Click. Slide 4. The photograph from Rahul's engagement, Priya wearing my grandmother's gold set, the red velvet box open beside her. Gasps across the room. 12 days ago, Sarah's mother placed this set around another woman's neck and said, "Welcome to the family." The same set left to Sarah in a legal will, given away without her knowledge, without her permission. Aunt Mina stood up, hand over her mouth. Click. Slide 5. Property records. April 14th, 2024. 6 months before this wedding, Sarah's parents transferred the family home to Rahul solely. Sarah's name was removed from the original draft before signing, April 14th, 2024. 2 months before Rahul's engagement, 4 months before my wedding. They had already decided the date conflict was never the real issue. Then Daniel opened one final document, my grandmother's will. He read it aloud. The gold jewelry set is to be passed to my granddaughter Sarah on the occasion of her marriage. It is not to be sold, gifted, or transferred to any other person under any circumstance. He looked at me. That set was legally yours, Sarah. What they did was illegal. The room was very quiet. What do we do? I asked. Daniel slowly closed the laptop. We document everything. And at the reception, in front of everyone, we show them exactly who your parents really are. I thought about my grandmother, her hands placing that red velvet box in mine. Do it, I said. 6 weeks later, the case never reached court. My parents settled in mediation. The gold set was returned. Every piece, still in the red velvet box, still smelling faintly of jasmine the way my grandmother's room always had. I held it for a long time before I opened it. When I did, I didn't feel victory. I felt grief. Grief for the parents I had wanted them to be. Grief for every time I had told myself, they love me just differently. They didn't love me differently. They just loved me less. And the hardest part of growing up is not when you realize that. The hardest part is when you finally stop trying to change it. Today, Daniel and I live in a house we bought ourselves. No inheritance, no family money, just 2 salaries and a mortgage we are proud of. My grandmother's gold set sits in a glass case in our bedroom, displayed, not hidden, because it belongs here. It always did. We're expecting our first child in April. Last weekend, Daniel asked me, "What do we put in our will for this baby?" I smiled. Use this to build a life that makes you happy, not us, you. If your family is using money to control you, using guilt to silence you, calling you selfish every time you draw a boundary, document everything. Know your rights. And remember, you never needed their permission. You never did.